Once upon a time, there was a tragic motor traffic accident. A whole family was wiped out, 3 innocent children perished, but miraculously, one little boy was found alive at the scene. His name was Alan, left an orphan and wandered the streets of the city. With no family, no education, no food, and no hope, he grew up in hardship, surviving by grace alone. By the age of 13, Alan was broken, barefoot, and hopeless. He would sleep under bridges and beg on street corners, his soul weary and forgotten by the world. But one rainy evening, as Alan sat shivering on the cold sidewalk, a young man named Ken stopped in. Like everyone else who passed by, Ken saw him, not just the dirt or the torn clothes, but the boy underneath. So Ken took Alan into his small apartment. He gave him food, clothes, a warm bed, but more than that, he gave him every possible care which he needed. He enrolled this young boy in school and mentored him like his young brother. Ken never asked Alan for anything in return. He simply said, "I once received love I didn't deserve. Now, it's my turn to give." Years passed. Alan excelled in his studies. With Ken's support and prayers, he eventually graduated and became a respected lawyer, known for defending the poor and voiceless. But just 2 years after Alan became a lawyer, tragedy struck again. Ken was diagnosed with a brain tumor. The illness was aggressive, and despite all efforts, Ken passed away. Alan buried the only person who had ever shown him love, holding his hand until the final breath. He wept like a son, yet Alan never forgot Ken's words. For the next 40 years, he quietly served, not just as a lawyer, but as a helper to the broken, an advocate for the lost. He funded orphanages, paid school fees, and mentored many, but always humbly and quietly. Then one quiet afternoon, Alan, at 53 years old, sat alone in his office when a knock came at the door. A small, trembling boy entered, clothes torn and eyes empty. He looked just like Alan once had. He said, "Sir, I was told you help people. I don't know my parents. I live on the street." Alan stood up slowly and saw his own reflection from 40 years ago from the boy front of him. He smiled gently, walked over, knelt to the boy's level, and said, "I once met a man who helped me not because he had to, but because God loved me through him. Let me do the same for you." He took the boy in, gave him a home, enrolled him in school. He never expected thanks, because real love, or God's love, is a kind of love that gives without needing anything in return. It is planted in the broken and blooms in others. As Jesus said in Matthew chapter 10 verse 8, that freely you have received, freely give. You know, we can't give what we don't have. If your heart is empty, if your soul is barren, if your life is meaningless, you can't give to others. But if you have received the gift of salvation, if you have experienced the new birth, if you have been set free from sin and from death, then you can give to others. So many people want to receive, but they don't want to give. They want to take, but they don't want to share. Jesus says, freely give freely, give with a cheerful heart, give with an open hand, give with a generous spirit. Don't hold back, don't count the cost, don't think about how much you're giving. We have a God who gave his best, who gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So if God can give so much, how much more should we be willing to give? I hope this will revive your heart as far as giving is concerned. May God bless you. Please subscribe and be alerted for the next video.